Hey guys, welcome back to episode 9 of the Nav.it Files. I'm really excited to get to round 10, Erin. I'm joining you here from San Francisco this week, hence the new backdrop. And Erin is in Seattle.
And it's not raining. So proud.
And it's raining in San
Oh,
Francisco
thank
all
God.
week.
Good.
So
No fog though. Is there fog?
there's not right now, there's not any fog, but it's the end of the day. Typically it rolls in the morning. But because I've been in such a dry climate, which I love, I'm like walking around here and I just need to like peel off the soot. Like maybe
Yeah.
this is my self-care talk today.
And this is you peeling it off.
I like all the time. So for any of you that are in like skincare production out there, if you
Ooh.
could figure out how to make me feel clean, specifically my face, without taking off my makeup, all the win and all the praise. I will invest in you tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's not possible. But okay.
You never know. You never
Yeah,
know.
maybe Glacier can come up.
It's
They're a billion dollar company.
possible. I feel like makeup management whilst in uber human environments.
Yes.
So
What's the plan? Yeah, we should actually Google that. I'm sure someone's talking
send us your Kickstarter.
Please.
Great. We'll put it in the show notes. So, Erin, I kind of stole the thunder on self-care. I
No,
don't
that
know.
was great.
Do you have a self-care for today?
I am planning on a bath tonight.
A bath is lovely. Everybody should have a bath.
Yes. So what I've been doing actually lately is like yoga, energy kind of movement work right before like at night to try and calm down, and then a bath, and I go to bed. I'm so woo-woo. I'm from Seattle. Back
I
off.
think your kid puts you to bed at night.
Oh, well, we lay in bed and we read, which tends to make me fall asleep.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's such like he's so sweet. Recently he's been like putting his little arm around me, like and patting me, like giving me a little back rub while I read. I'm like, hi.
I want to birth a child at his age. Like I don't.
Oh,
I
that's
think a lot of
legit.
women will resonate with this message. It's like I have
Oh,
no interest in the infant stage.
no. I told my dad this. So I acquired my stepmom at the age of 9, and she had never had kids, and she was like, this is perfect. You're interesting, you're funny, you're thinking for yourself. We can have intellectual discussions. Like, and I would tell dad, I was like, I understand the joy now. Like, this age is perfect. Just like, give them to you at this age.
Especially for a boy, because it's not like you're going into the tween years of a girl, which
No,
maybe we can have
no.
a whole episode on that. But we have a really exciting episode today, which
Right.
we're both really passionate about. So I'm going to rear us in.
Great.
And yes, we're going to talk about small businesses and finances. I'm going to tee us off with small businesses and budgeting allocation, which is like so not a sexy topic.
No.
But I'm really bringing this up because I find it's very helpful to obviously have a budget in the year. I'm sure all of you agree. Certainly have like allocation for unforeseen costs and all that kind of stuff. But also think about where you're spending your money. And I think the cool thing about marketing is that you can be we say scrappy. We can be very scrappy. We can be very lean across different months. So like yesterday's episode kind of prompted this because we were talking about budget anxiety in your personal budgets.
Yeah.
And realizing that you can allocate or you can feel okay with different thresholds at different times of the year. You can do the same thing with marketing, which like you can't do this for dev costs. Like you can't do this. You have to pay your people. You have to pay your like AWS or whatever domain you're hosted on, blah, blah, blah. Like, but you can do this for marketing. So if you have like some more money to spend up front, like always have a priority list. So like I always have a top 50 wish list of like all the things that I would want in 2020.
Yes.
So what can I allocate for now and what can I tackle now that like we have some disposable income that I know we're not going to be able to like really excel in 5 months time when we're fundraising again.
Totally. And I have a question about that. So how do you gauge are you thinking of the biggest bang for your buck in that? Like, okay, if I know this is $500 and I'm going to get this massive outcome, or is it more like a strategic kind of planning of what I need now, where I need to go?
So I think that this varies based on industry. I think because we live in software, a lot more dirty. Like we can basically say, okay, if I spend money right now on this one initiative, I know I'm going to get 10x amount of signups in the next 2 months. However, if you're like a brick and mortar store, you have to strategically say, okay, I know it's the holiday season.
Right.
I need to spend more during the holiday season in order to reap a better return because I'm trying to push out more product when I know my consumer base is purchasing more.
Totally.
So we don't have to be as strategic there. I think the cool thing about software marketing and budgeting in general is like, what are the kinds of campaigns, like back to yesterday's conversation on influencers and trying to capture and kind of ride the coattails of other people that are around your same voice and message.
Right.
Like, what are the key campaigns that you also want to have a say in? Spend more money in your ad group during that time. Like, for instance, if I know that Apple is coming out with a new, this is made up, but I know that Apple's coming out with a new watch that's focused on like feminine health. I want to have a whole ad campain around
Apple. You should take that idea and do it.
yeah. And like somehow incorporate Nav.it into your build.
Add our nudges into it.
Yeah, but I think like budgeting is a really scary thing for marketers, which is also why I want to continue to have this conversation, because like we don't, unless you are more of the CFO mindset, like we don't really love numbers, because it's very hard to put it's easy to say cost per acquisition on an ad. It's very hard to define lifetime value for a subscription-based platform.
Yes, totally.
And, different consumers have different mentalities around that. So if we can start to think about like, okay, if I can spend X amount of money on my ads, on my digital team, on my organic reach, like XYZ right now, maybe I don't spend as much money in June, July, and August, because I bet I can get some free work from collegiate interns who are cranking out content, who are helping maybe do like viral campaigns on campus, or like think about the creative ways that you can kind of go around through almost like an earned media campaign that actually costs a lot less if you do it through the channels that you've been spending money on for most of the year.
I love it. Yes.
So I have a follow-up question. Like as a marketer, like we're always the last to get hired and first to get fired. And I joke about that a lot, but the reason is because like you don't need marketing to keep the business going.
Yeah.
So if you're on a downturn, you don't have money to spend in month 3, you're not going to spend money on marketing. So how as a marketer can you make yourself that more sticky and like that more valuable by creating non-paid organic campaigns that generate a shit ton of virality, or generate at least some virality or some new use case that your devs didn't think about. Like think about the different ways in which you can add value, so that when you know that your company is going to be strapped at certain times of the year and you're not a founder who like is in it for the long haul, like you got to stick with it somehow. Figure out different ways where you can go cross department and you can maybe add to their budgets, or you can add value in other ways that are still representing your conversion rates and your bottom line.
I think it's so smart. And I think from a startup early tech perspective, the marketer is the one that is closest to the if it's a consumer, but in general, even if it's not, like you are closest to the customer and often and especially the consumer, and that the dev isn't. So I think that is such a strategic move to be the listening ear of the population that they are building for, and then making yourself useful on the product side, and really participating in that and giving them insights that they'll never have. I think it's really smart.
Totally. Marketing can be anything. Like in brick and mortar, marketing was anything. It was literally people like going out on the street and like screaming things about their business. Like, I don't know. It can literally be anything. So you could, if you're software, like get onto your customer success channels for the day and start like promoting new fun products. Like just start messaging your customers proactively and like only the fun ways that creative marketers can do. Like customer success reps, but like they're solving the problems. They're not like creating new solutions.
Right.
So
I love
be the creative new solution. Like get on the support channels every once in a while. Like create added value for you and your team so that you can get more budget and also think more creatively about the way in which you can communicate your brand voice.
Yeah.
That drives your bottom line without dollars.
I love it. Love it.
I classically talk too long. Okay, Erin, let's tee it up into one of our favorite topics, small business and your finances around small business.
Loan. Yeah. I was thinking it's like we should have defined small business. Actually, small business can be very broad. I think it's like, is it 100 million and less in revenue? It's like actually a huge amount. We'll look it up.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll look it up. I know that you're considered big tech and now taxed in the EU at 3% if you're over 800 in revenue.
800 million in revenue. 800,000.
Yeah. Oh, true.
800 million.
800 million. No.
Yeah.
800 million.
Yeah, takes what we're getting there.
So I don't know what the threshold is for small business.
Right. My point is more about the issues that come up when you are generating less money are either like, how are you going to pay payroll? How are you going to stay afloat? Or they become questions of how do you build and increase revenue? And so when you're looking at, when you have 100 million, hopefully that is enough to keep if your margin is big enough, and in tech it usually is, that's enough to keep you sustained. But if you're in, if your income is literally $5,000-10,000 a month,
right,
and you're real and your margin is slow, then you're really, the conversation around credit is, what do I need to invest or to insert into my overall spend right now that can get me to the next level of revenue, right? So if I need $50,000 to get from $10,000 in revenue monthly up to $30,000, and so ultimately I can pay that off quite quickly. Right. That's the kind of conversation around it, right? So, and also floating. I mean, cash flow is such a, we have a colleague from our MBKC cohort that is only helping small businesses manage cash flow, because in our kind of world, subscription.
We'll put him in the show notes.
Yeah, we can put him. His name is Steady Pay. It's really interesting what he's doing, because there's such a spectrum of small business, and cash flow is such an interesting thing. Like ours is a little bit more predictable if you're on a subscription based, if you're modeling out the kind of interest or whatever you're getting on banking product. But other people's, like a restaurant's cash flow, it fluctuates. You can kind of do analysis, but it depends, just like you said, or retailers now, your big thing right now is the holiday season. So you probably needed a loan in August or September to invest in all the products you need for this spending period, right? Yeah. So the issue when you go to get a loan, small business loan, is they're looking really at your revenue, and they're looking at your assets as a small business owner, and if you can underwrite that loan. Right. So it's really interesting. Yeah. And this is like, there's a lot of drama around women-owned businesses that don't have, right, that can't get the same level of credit because you can't underwrite it in the same way. And these new products that are out there, like Square and Stripe, I think Stripe's doing it more, is starting to lend based on your revenue. So that's really interesting. So every time, a Stripe is swiping your card as a small business owner, and those revenues, like the businesses that have low margins, like let's say a restaurant, right, but have pretty high cash flow. Let's say you're doing, 50,000, 60,000 in revenue monthly, but your margin is literally nothing. So you're maybe making 2,000 or whatever, but they can lend based on the revenue that you're pulling in that gives you more cash up front, so you can kind of manage your payments and your vendors and your staffing. So it really, small business loans are complicated because it depends on your income as a business. It depends on the founder and their ability and their assets, and then overall projections of your business or your historical earnings over time.
Right. Okay, Erin, I'm thrilled that we went over that topic, and I think more to come, because with, like you said, women getting small business loans is horrendously unequal. and something that we need to talk about. Also, according to Google, small business is any company that has less than 250 employees.
Oh,
So
perfect. About employees.
yeah. So I mean, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So now I know that we have a follow-up real talk to this. So let's dive into my favorite topic, real talk.
All right, this one's on me. So one of the real talks about having a small business is that you usually can't employ full-time people to do things that you need. For example, like bookkeeping, accounting, tax management. When you get big enough, you bring that in-house. But typically for a lot of years, or even forever, depending on your business, you outsource that to contractors. So they have their own small businesses, right? So accountants, lawyers, that you keep on retainer, or whatever it is that you pay, but they are not employees. So what ends up happening, my real talk is, the contractors are only as good as you make them be. They have their own businesses to run. They are not always paying attention to you, and their scale is having as many clients as possible. That's where they make more money. So I have realized over the last 2 years of having consultants is I can't fully trust them always to be on top of something. I have to make sure that I am pinging them and reminding them about things as we go. And there are some contractors that are amazing that you have to do that much less, and there are some contractors that are good and worth the time, but you have to be on top of to remember deadlines.
A shameless plug-in for Monday.com again.
Yes.
And we are not sponsored by Monday.com.
We need to be with the way you talk about it.
No, but it's a serious problem. And, you know, like having been a contractor whilst having a full-time job and doing side projects and stuff, it's like, no, like a lot of the time those clients aren't a main priority. So I would say this is almost like going against me having done this work before, but contractors who are full-time contractors, like they have a client base and this is what they do full-time, rather than them having a full-time job, which they're salaried for, and then doing something on the side.
Totally.
It's often going to be a safer bet for you and your business. There are exceptions if it's like editorial or like a lot of the marketing stuff, I think can be exceptions.
Yeah.
We say that you need to hire a true contractor. If you're going the contractor route, always hire a contractor that's for social media that's truly a contractor. Because
yes, that's so interesting.
Responsive.
My lesson with
editorial, like you can say, like, I'm going to give Nav.it 3 hours tonight, and I'm going to do it every single night. They're not responsive with a customer.
Yeah.
This is why most people don't outsource customer success when they're a small business. Like customer success is typically one of your first in-house purchases, because you have to have every level of responsiveness.
Right. And actually my lesson I agree with you completely, especially around the editorial, social media, that's okay for it could be their side gig or whatever. But my lesson in managing them is giving them specific deadlines. So and structure, you're wonderful at structure. It was the same thing of like, you can do this whenever you want. And I'm actually kind of a fan of that too, even as an employee, like you need to give me your 40 hours. If you give them to me, 8 to like 6 o'clock in the morning to 4, fine. It's up to you, but like, you got to get your shit done. But from the contractor perspective, being like very clear on like, this has to happen at this time and this day, and here's what I'm going to follow up. That is so essential to managing contractors, because they won't, I think they can I was a consultant too, but I was a project-based consultant. So it's really easy to be like, this is all going to be what I get done at this time at these places, right? So it was easier than this kind of nebulous, you need to get this done weekly.
Yeah, the weekly I think is hard. Like the retainer contractor is way harder than the project-oriented contractor.
Totally. And on the like services side, accounting, legal, I've had great experience, and frankly, I've had awesome experience with female contractors versus male contractors. But that's my specific experience.
Topic though, because women feel more involved in the conversations that we're having because it's more effective.
Yeah. I think there's just like a level of organization and responsibility that I have found with my female contractors as opposed to the men. So, but that's my experience. I'm being biased there. But either way, giving them, not trusting them, especially at the beginning, like not trusting, like giving them structure that they can function within and following up for me has been a good lesson.
I love it. Let's end it there. Thank you all for joining us for another episode of the Nav.it Files. We'll be back with you tomorrow for more, maybe a few more tidbits on small business here and there, and certainly going forward. So thanks so much for watching.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.